So the Nuggets take a 3-0 lead. Honestly, I expected this, but the fact that they won two games in Miami has been honestly very surprising. I think the Nuggets have just completely figured out Miami in every single way. And I believe that in a game where Jokic tweaks his ankle and Jamal Murray does not have a godlike performance, it is your duty as a team to actually do something and to step up. I believe that Jimmy Butler, yes, he is playoff Jimmy, he is clutch, and he has been the best player on the Heat, and they wouldn't be here without him. But let's face it, it's worn off. He dropped 25, 7, and 7, and all he talks about is we're gonna win the next one, and it's like, bro, you're not up 3-0 like you were in the Boston series. There's no blanket to fall back on. You lose the next game, you lose the NBA Finals, right? I believe that Bam was pretty good. He was the best player on the Heat by far. And in my opinion, really, this game was decided by just the Nuggets being better in every single category of the game than the Heat. Aaron Gordon, in my opinion, was really the star. Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown, they both played amazingly. And as we know, Aaron Gordon will just have those games where he'll really feast because the defense will give him a lot of easy looks. But let's face it, and as a sad Heat fan saying this, the Nuggets won. Jimmy Butler is not the LeBron. There's not a storyline potent enough which would make the Nuggets fall off. And the clutch players on the Nuggets are really clutch. And if we break it down statistically, the Denver Nuggets beat the Miami Heat out in 90% of the statistical categories. The Denver Nuggets had a better field goal percentage, while meanwhile taking more shots. They had a better three-point percentage, meanwhile taking more shots. They had a worse free throw percentage by far, and they took more shots. But they had less turnovers. 8 less turnovers. They had 3 more assists. They had less rebounds, but they still, it was close. And in blocks, steals, and fouls, they had more blocks than the Heat. They had more steals by 9 than the Heat. And they had 18 fouls compared to the Heat's 19. It just looked like the Heat got dominated. They played Duncan Robinson more minutes, and he had a good game. Caleb Martin still looks like he fell off completely off the face of the earth. And it really just looks like this team is depending way too much on their superstars. And in my opinion, this is what happens when you have so many undrafted players. As a team, it's good to have these players who can step up at any time, who can give you a big game. But in the NBA Finals, superstardom matters. Experienced role players matter. Veterans matter. And having a bunch of these guys who have never made a finals, or at least who have never really explored the idea of being really successful in the NBA. Yeah, they might have a few series or games where they pop off, but it's going to be really hard to get any consistency out of them. The most consistent player in this series has been Jimmy, Bam, and Kyle Lowry, because Kyle is a veteran and he knows that at least he can play make or do this or do that. But let's face it, as a franchise, as a team, and as a championship aspiration, this Heat team is done for. They are not going to make anything out of what they've done. They're down 3-1. That is only ever been done once, a comeback from that. And they're losing in terrible fashion. Yes, okay, they might have won some quarters, like the first, but then in every other quarter, they get either smoked or they tie. And it's like the Heat have this problem where they'll just consistently, play either worse or play just decent in important games. And it's like, where are your role players when you need them? I think Gabe Vincent has been a non-factor. Caleb Martin has been a non-factor. And Kevin Love, apart from this game, has been an absolute non-factor. I believe that we need to talk about the Nuggets and the way that they've assembled these role players to the point where they're all playing at least decently well or doing something for the team. And we need to give some appreciation to them because comparatively to the Heat, they've assembled a group of guys who can consistently step up. At home, on the road, it doesn't matter who's in their face, they're stepping up. You know, this was a problem for the Celtics and the reason why they lost the Eastern Conference Finals. And now Miami has become the first eighth seed in the NBA Finals, and that's awesome. I think it will give the play-in a lot of validity now to show that even if you're a playing team, you can make the finals and you can win a championship. You know, all you have to do is actually try and believe in yourself. But I do believe that the Nuggets have just figured it out. In the games where Jamal Murray's not shooting that well, he gets 12 assists. Right, like he got 15 points, but his efficiency was horrible. And then he got 12 assists. Aaron Gordon was hitting everything, and he got 27 points and 6 assists. Jokic tweaked his ankle, and he wasn't playing that well, but he still got a double-double and 4 assists. And a guy like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he got 2 blocks and 3 steals. Jokic got 3 blocks and 3 steals. And in my opinion, this just shows that having a good team matters. Building around your stars matters. And not always consistently relying on one star is something that is needed for a championship. I believe Miami's run was great, but I do not believe that they will be back in this position. I think that they've overstayed their welcome as a great team in this league. And this is coming from a fan, but I do believe that they're one of these teams where it's like, how much further can you go? You've made the finals twice. You have to feel proud of yourself in that regard. But what realistically comes from now? Where are you going in the future? Where are these role players going to go? The Miami Heat have too many questions. You know, like what are they going to do with these role players which they have? Are they going to bring in Damian Lillard or new depth to help the young guys out? Do they have a higher ceiling? And is Jimmy Butler ever going to give you another playoff run like this? And are you ever going to be able to get a group of guys so locked into winning after losing in such a bad fashion? In my opinion, I do believe that the Heat were awesome this year. And if I'm speaking in terms, they could maybe win the next game in Denver, but that's going to be hard. And in my opinion, the Denver Nuggets, you could say it right now, they are NBA champions. They have won the championship already. In my eyes, there's no way they're coming back. The Heat are coming back. And the Denver Nuggets have become the best team in the league. Jokic is about to get his first championship. And if you were to recap the season entirely, right now I'm going to say that the Denver Nuggets are the 2023 NBA champions. Jokic has now elevated himself into superstardom. You know, Jamal Murray is going to get remembered as one of the best role players and secondary stars of all time in the playoffs. And I believe that this Nuggets team will be an example to set for the future, that you do not necessarily need max contract players to win. All you need is good depth, good rotation, good coaching, and a guy to lead you in the bad, the good, and the ugly, which is Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. They've taken a lot of hits. They've run through a lot of different paths. But in the end, I do believe that it's set in stone that they have won this championship. I do not believe that it's possible for Miami to come back. And we could crown them right now and just give them their trophy right now, just to not have another game in Denver and just to not do all that mess. Let's face it, the Denver Nuggets have won, and there's no coming back from Miami. We'll see you next year in 2024. this season is basically done for. I will keep obviously talking about the series, but let's face it, it's done.